The call came on a Tuesday morning, which was already the worst kind of morning, the kind where the coffee maker breaks and the school calls before 8, and the universe seems to have decided, collectively, that you specifically are the problem. Wren Calloway was 31 years old, working 2 jobs, raising a 7-year-old by herself, and had not slept more than 5 consecutive hours in what felt like the better part of a decade. She was not the kind of woman who received life-changing phone calls. She was the kind of woman who received calls about overdue electric bills and parent-teacher conferences, and whether she could pick up an extra shift on Friday. So when the woman on the other end of the line introduced herself as the personal assistant to Ethan Hargrove, the Ethan Hargrove, CEO of Hargrove Capital, the man whose face appeared on the covers of Forbes and Bloomberg, and every other magazine that Wren walked past in airport terminals, she could never afford to fly out of. Wren assumed it was a scam. "I'm sorry," she said, shifting her phone to her other ear while she packed her son's lunch. "Who did you say you worked for?" "Mr. Hargrove," the woman repeated patiently. "He's looking for a private nurse for his daughter. Full-time live-in. The position comes with a room in his home, full benefits, and a monthly salary that I'll be happy to discuss if you're willing to come in for an interview." Wren set down the peanut butter knife. She had been a pediatric nurse for 6 years. She was good at it. Genuinely good. Not just technically competent, but the kind of good that meant children stopped crying when she walked into a room, that parents trusted her instinctively, that her supervisor had told her twice she had a gift. She had also been passed over for 2 promotions, was still paying off nursing school, and had recently started calculating whether she could make rent by selling her car. She went to the interview. The Hargrove house. Estate, really, though Wren refused to use that word even in her own head because it felt like surrendering something, sat at the end of a private road in Greenwich, Connecticut, behind iron gates and 40-year-old oak trees that had been planted by someone with the kind of confidence that only old money produces. The kind of confidence that says, "I will still be here in 40 years, and so will these trees." A woman named Miss Pruitt met her at the door, 50s, angular, efficient. She walked Wren through the house at a pace that did not invite lingering, past a living room with ceilings that were taller than Wren's entire apartment, past oil paintings and a staircase that curved like something out of a film she had never been able to afford a ticket to see. "Mr. Hargrove will see you in the study," Miss Pruitt said. Ethan Hargrove was standing at the window when she entered, his back to the door, his hands folded behind him. He was taller than she expected. Darker, too. Dark hair going slightly gray at the temples, a jaw that seemed to have been constructed specifically to communicate displeasure. He turned when she entered, and his eyes moved over her in a single, clinical pass that she recognized immediately. It was the look of a man who had made a decision before she had walked through the door and was now simply confirming it. "Mrs. Calloway," he said, not a question. "Mr. Hargrove," she said, matching his tone exactly. Something shifted almost imperceptibly in his expression. He gestured to the chair across from his desk and sat down himself, and for the next 20 minutes he asked her questions in the manner of someone conducting a deposition, precise, impersonal, offering nothing in return. She answered everything directly. She did not perform warmth. She had learned a long time ago that performing warmth for people who weren't offering any in return was a kind of self-erasure she couldn't afford. At the end of the 20 minutes, he said, "My daughter is 8 years old. She was diagnosed with a rare autoimmune condition 14 months ago. She requires consistent, skilled care, not just medical management, but someone who can be present with her. The last 2 nurses we hired lasted 3 weeks and 6 weeks respectively." "Why did they leave?" Wren asked. He paused. "The position is demanding." "That's not what I asked." Another pause, longer this time. "They found the environment difficult." Wren looked at him steadily. "You mean they found you difficult?" The silence that followed was the kind that could have gone several ways. Ethan Hargrove looked at her for a long moment, and then something that might have been, under different circumstances, the beginning of a smile crossed his face and disappeared. "The salary is $9,000 a month," he said, "plus room and board. You'd have Sundays off. The room has a private bath." Wren thought about her son, Oliver, who had been sleeping on a pull-out couch in the living room for 4 months because they'd had to give up the 2-bedroom. She thought about the electric bill. "I have a 7-year-old, she said. "He'd have to come with me. That's a condition I won't negotiate on." Ethan Hargrove looked at her for a long moment. "Fine," he said. She started the following Monday. His daughter's name was Lily, and she was the opposite of everything her father projected. Where he was contained, she spilled over. Where he was deliberate, she was impulsive, reaching, asking, laughing at things that weren't even particularly funny. Because the act of laughing itself seemed to give her pleasure. She had his dark hair but a roundness to her face that softened everything. And when Wren walked into her room that first morning, Lily looked up from her book and said, "You have nice eyes. Are you going to be mean to me?" "No," Wren said. "The last one was mean. Not on purpose, I think. She was just scared of my dad. I'm not scared of your dad." Lily studied her with the particular seriousness that sick children sometimes develop, an old soul quality, a watchfulness. "Okay," she said finally, and went back to her book, and that was that. The condition, a rare autoimmune disorder that affected Lily's joints and in flares her kidneys, required medication management, careful monitoring, dietary considerations, and the management of Lily's energy levels in ways that 8-year-olds found profoundly unfair. Wren handled all of it. She had handled harder cases. What she hadn't anticipated was how much of the job would be about sitting with Lily during the hours when the pain was bad, and there was nothing to do but be present. Reading to her, playing cards, watching old animated films on a laptop with the brightness turned low. Oliver, for his part, adapted with the flexibility that children of difficult circumstances develop as a survival skill. He did his homework at the kitchen table, befriended the cook, a warm-voiced man named Pete, and on his second day announced to Wren that the house had a pool, and did she think Mr. Hargrove would mind if he looked at it? "Don't touch it," Wren said. "I just want to look." She watched him go and felt the particular ache of a parent who has given a child less than they deserve and is trying, always trying, to close the distance. Ethan Hargrove was not, as it turned out, mean. He was something more complicated than mean. A man who had built walls so methodically and over such a long period of time that he had begun to mistake the walls for himself. He was present in the house in the mornings and evenings, and during those hours he moved through the rooms with the focused efficiency of someone who has scheduled emotions out of his life, in the same way he had scheduled inefficiency out of his business. He checked on Lily every evening at 7. Wren had been doing Lily's nighttime medications and noticed, the first week, that Ethan would stand in the doorway of Lily's room for precisely as long as it took to confirm that his daughter was comfortable, and then he would leave. Not coldly. She could see that it wasn't coldness. It was more like someone standing at the edge of something deep, wanting to go in, not knowing how. On the 10th day, Lily had a bad flare. Her joints swelled, her fever spiked to 103, and Wren spent the better part of 6 hours managing symptoms, adjusting medications, staying on the phone with Lily's rheumatologist, keeping Lily calm through the worst of it. With steady hands and a steady voice and stories she half invented on the spot about a girl who lived in a lighthouse and was afraid of nothing. At 2 in the morning, when Lily had finally fallen asleep, Wren came downstairs to find Ethan Hargrove sitting at the kitchen table, in a dress shirt with the sleeves rolled up. His elbows on the table, his hands over his face. She stopped. He heard her and looked up, and for just a moment, before he reassembled himself, she saw it, the fear. The helplessness of a man who could acquire almost anything and could not acquire this, the certainty that his daughter would be okay. "She's sleeping," Wren said quietly. "Fever broke about 40 minutes ago. She's stable." He nodded once, the motion slightly unsteady. "Thank you. You should sleep." "I don't." He stopped. "I don't sleep well when she has a flare." Wren pulled out the chair across from him and sat down, because there was something in the room that felt like it would break if she simply walked away from it. "She's strong," she said. "Genuinely. I've worked with a lot of kids. Lily has a constitution that most adults don't have." He was quiet for a moment. Her mother said the same thing before she left. Wren hadn't known anything about a mother. Miss Pruitt had volunteered nothing, and she hadn't asked. "How long ago?" she said. 2 years. The diagnosis was difficult for her. She wasn't equipped for it. He said it without bitterness, which was somehow worse than bitterness. Just a flat accounting of fact, the way you described something that happened so long ago and so completely that you've had to make peace with it just to keep moving. "I'm sorry," Wren said. He looked at her. "Are you?" "Yes," she said simply. "I am." Something shifted in his face. Not dramatically, this was not the kind of man who did anything dramatically, but something. The trouble arrived in the form of Diana Prescott, Ethan's former fiancée. They had been engaged for almost a year before Lily's diagnosis, before the mother left, before everything rearranged itself, had apparently decided, 4 months before Wren arrived, to re-enter the picture. She was the kind of woman who understood the value of a room the moment she entered it. Beautiful in a precise, deliberate way, dressed as though every outfit had been selected to communicate a specific message. She arrived on a Saturday in early October, and the way Ms. Pruitt's expression flattened when she opened the door told Wren everything she needed to know. Diana was polite to Wren in the way that certain women are polite to household staff, a politeness that is technically correct and communicates, underneath its correctness, that you are furniture that has learned to speak. She brought Lily a gift, an elaborate stuffed animal that Lily accepted with the cautious manners of a child who has learned to be careful about gifts from people her father doesn't seem entirely happy to see. But it was what Diana said to Ethan in the hallway on her 3rd visit that Wren heard by accident, and not entirely by accident, because she had learned which floorboards creaked. "She has her child living here," Diana said, "in the house. You didn't think that was something to discuss?" "It was a condition of her employment," Ethan said. "Ethan, she's using you. A single mother, suddenly installed in a Greenwich estate. She's an exceptional nurse and Lily adores her. Lily is 8. Lily adores Pete the cook, too." A pause. "I'm just saying be careful. These situations, women in these situations can develop ideas." The silence that followed was long enough that Wren, in the hallway, had time to feel several things in sequence: humiliation, then fury. Then something harder and colder that she recognized from years of practice as the feeling of deciding not to let someone diminish you. She walked away before she heard Ethan's response. That evening, after Lily was settled, she knocked on the door of Ethan's study. He looked up from his desk. "I want to address something directly," she said, because she had never once in her adult life been able to have a confrontation any other way. "If you have concerns about my professionalism, or my motives, or my presence in this house, I'd rather you say them to me directly. I'm not here for anything except to do my job. I know what I am in this situation, and I don't have any illusions about it." He set his pen down. "I don't have concerns. Diana Prescott does." He held her gaze. "Diana Prescott doesn't run this house. I know that. I'm telling you what I heard so there's no ambiguity between us. I don't do well with ambiguity." She paused. "And for what it's worth, I heard what she said, and it was wrong, and I think you know it was wrong, and I need you to say that so I know we're on the same page." Ethan Hargrove looked at her for a long moment. "It was wrong," he said. "Good," she said. "Good night, Mr. Hargrove." "Ethan," he said before she reached the door. She turned. "You can call me Ethan," he said. "You've been here 2 months. "The formality is," he stopped. "It's unnecessary." "Good night, Ethan," she said. Diana's 3rd visit became a 4th, a 5th. She started arriving for dinners, presenting herself in the subtle, persistent way of someone who is staking a claim by repetition. She and Ethan had a shared history, 4 years of it. Wren gathered from fragments, and she was clearly working to re-establish the terms of that history as though the intervening period had been a misunderstanding rather than a collapse. Wren stayed in her lane. She managed Lily's care, picked Oliver up from the school bus, ate dinner with the kids at the kitchen table, while Ethan and Diana ate in the dining room. She did not want anything that she shouldn't want. She was very firm with herself about this. She was not entirely successful. The problem was that Ethan, freed in small increments from whatever self-imposed quarantine he'd been maintaining, turned out to be someone she found genuinely difficult to be indifferent to. He had started joining Lily's evening reading time, sitting in the chair beside the bed, and reading with a complete and unguarded attention that was nothing like the controlled efficiency he projected in every other room. He asked Oliver one afternoon about a book Oliver had left on the counter. Genuinely asked, with follow-up questions, and spent 20 minutes discussing it with a 7-year-old with the seriousness he probably brought to shareholder meetings. He brought her coffee one morning without asking, setting it beside her on the table where she was charting Lily's medications, and said nothing about it, just went back to his newspaper. She looked at the coffee for a moment. She drank it. The secret came out on a Sunday in November. Wren had taken Oliver to the farmer's market in town, one of their Sunday routines, a small, ordinary pleasure that she guarded carefully. They were at a stall selling cider donuts when she heard someone say her name and turned to find a man she recognized. Dr. Patrick Webb, who had been a resident at the hospital where Wren trained, who had known her during the period of her life she had spent 8 years trying not to think about directly. His face went careful in a way that told her he was going to say something. "Wren, my God, I didn't know you were in Greenwich. Are you still at Memorial? I'm doing private nursing now," she said. "For the Hargroves?" He paused and she could see him working something out. "Ethan Hargrove?" She went still. "I only asked because." He looked at Oliver and something happened in his expression. "Wren, does he know?" She had been 23 and freshly out of nursing school when she met a man named Carter Whitfield at a mutual friend's party. Carter was charming and handsome and worked in finance, and turned out, over the following 4 months, to be the kind of charming that is a performance rather than a character. The kind that stops when the audience stops applauding. When she told him she was pregnant, he ended things with a speed and thoroughness that she had spent years not thinking about, because thinking about it made her feel stupid in a way she refused to accept. What she had not known, what she had only learned 18 months later, through a chain of connections and conversations she had not been looking for, was that Carter Whitfield had been, at the time, working as a junior associate at Hargrove Capital, that he had met her at a party hosted by someone in Ethan Hargrove's circle, that the social world she had accidentally touched, briefly, before it shut her out, was the same world she was now living inside. Oliver was 7 years old. He had Carter Whitfield's jawline and Wren's eyes and no knowledge of any of this. She had never told anyone. She had never expected it to matter. She walked home from the farmer's market with Oliver's hand in hers, and she thought, with the particular clarity of a person who has been pretending something isn't coming for a long time, it's coming now. She found Ethan in the garden, because he took a walk after Lily's afternoon nap on Sundays. She had noticed this without meaning to, the way she had noticed many of his habits without meaning to. She sent Oliver to the kitchen with Pete, and she walked out into the cold November air, and she said his name. He turned. "I need to tell you something," she said, "and I need you to hear it completely before you say anything," she told him. All of it. Carter Whitfield, the circumstances, what she had learned afterward about the connection, the fact that she had not known when she applied for this position, and had not known when she accepted it, and had spent the past 4 months in a state of low-level terror about what would happen when it came out. Ethan listened. He was very still while she talked, in the particular stillness of a man controlling a strong reaction, and when she finished, there was a long silence, during which she could hear the wind in the oak trees, and distantly, Oliver laughing about something in the kitchen. "Carter Whitfield," Ethan said finally. "Yes, he's been gone from the firm for 5 years. We let him go. I didn't know that." "No." He was quiet. "I want to be clear about something. This," he stopped, started again. "What he did to you was not something I sanctioned or would have sanctioned. The culture at that firm, 5 years ago, was not something I'm proud of. I've worked to change it. That's not why I told you," she said. "I told you because you deserve to know. Because I'm in your house and I'm caring for your daughter and you trusted me, and there was something between us that I didn't tell you. I'm not asking for anything. I know you're not," he said it simply, without condescension. "That's fairly obvious." She looked at him. "Wren." He said her name the way people say names when they're about to say something that matters. "Oliver is," he paused. "He's a remarkable child. And whatever his father was or wasn't, that has nothing to do with him. Or with you." She had been braced for several things: judgment, discomfort, the polite suggestion that the situation was untenable. She had not been braced for this, and the force of not being braced for it caught her somewhere behind the sternum. "I'm not going anywhere," he said, "unless that's what you want. But I'm not asking you to leave." Diana found out. Of course Diana found out. Diana had a gift for finding out things she could use, and she deployed this one at dinner on a Friday in December, with the particular satisfaction of someone who has been waiting for exactly this moment. "It's interesting," she said, setting down her wineglass with a precision that announced itself, "that Wren has a connection to Carter Whitfield. Did you know that, Ethan? One of your former employees." Ethan looked at her. "It just seems relevant," Diana continued, "given that she's living in your home with access to Diana." His voice was quiet and absolutely final. "What exactly are you implying?" "I'm not implying anything. I'm simply..." You're implying that Wren is here for some purpose other than caring for my daughter, which is incorrect, and which you know is incorrect." He paused. "And I think you already know that I know that. So I'd appreciate it if we stopped pretending this conversation is about anything other than what it's actually about." Diana looked at him for a moment. Then she looked at Wren, who was standing in the doorway with Lily's evening medication, having arrived about 15 seconds too late to avoid this, and something in Diana's expression recalibrated. She picked up her bag. "I'll call you," she said to Ethan. She did not call him. Winter came in full. Lily had 2 good months. Genuinely good, the kind that let her be 8 years old for stretches of hours, laughing at things, arguing with Oliver about which animated movie was objectively superior, sitting at the kitchen table doing homework while Wren sat across from her and Oliver did the same. The 4 of them fell into a rhythm that none of them commented on directly, because commenting on it would have required acknowledging what it was. On Christmas Eve, after the children were asleep, Wren came downstairs to find Ethan adding wood to the fireplace in the living room. He looked up when she appeared. She sat on the couch, which she had done perhaps twice before in her time in the house. The living room felt formal, like a room for other people, and this time it didn't. "I've been thinking about something," he said, without preamble. "Okay," she said. "I've been thinking that the way I've been living, the way this house has been wrong for Lily. Not medically, in every other way." He sat down across from her. "I optimized for control, for managing outcomes. And what I actually did was create a house where my daughter had no one to be a child around." "She's doing better," Wren said. "Because of you and Oliver." He paused. "Because of the way you are in this house, both of you." She held his gaze. "I'm not good at this," he said, "saying things. I've been told that before and it's accurate. But I'm trying to." He stopped. "I want to be honest with you. I have been thinking about you, specifically in ways that are probably not." Another stop. "You work for me. I'm aware of that. And I'm aware of what that means. And I'm not asking for anything you don't want to give. But I needed to say it, because not saying it felt dishonest, and you've been very clear with me about how you feel about dishonesty." The fire crackled. Outside, snow had started, fat, slow flakes catching the light through the window. "Ethan," she said, "I have also been thinking about you in those ways. I want that on the record." He looked at her. "But I need us to be slow," she said. "Because I have Oliver, and you have Lily, and the 4 of us are in this together, whether or not you and I are anything more than what we already are. And that matters more to me than anything else." "Slow," he said. "Yes, I can do slow," he said. "I'm told I'm very controlled." She laughed, and the sound of it surprised both of them, and he smiled. A real smile, full and unguarded. The first one she had seen on him that was not a small and careful thing, but just a smile. Open and undefended. She thought, "Oh, so that's what he looks like." In the spring, Lily went 3 months without a flare. Her rheumatologist used the word stabilizing, which was not remission but was something better than what it had been. And Lily received this information by immediately lobbying for a dog, which Ethan agreed to in a moment of what Wren could only describe as complete structural collapse, and which Oliver greeted with a joy that temporarily made him incapable of speech. The dog was named Gerald by Lily, for reasons that she never fully explained and that no one questioned. Wren stopped thinking of her room as her room and started thinking of it as where she slept, which is different, because a room is provisional and a home is not. She had not called anything home in a long time. She was careful about the word. She used it precisely once in April on the phone with her sister, describing where she was living, and her sister said, "It sounds like you're happy," in a tone of such genuine surprise that Wren laughed. "I think I am," she said. "I think I actually am." Oliver, who had fallen asleep on the couch, stirred at the sound of her voice. In the kitchen, she could hear Ethan making coffee, a habit he had developed, making coffee in the evenings while she charted, and beneath that sound, distantly, the soft click of Gerald's nails on the hardwood floor. She thought about what she had had a year ago, the pull-out couch, the electric bill, the particular exhaustion of barely keeping up, and she thought about the strange, unpredictable, completely unreasonable way that life sometimes decides to give you something back, not as a reward, not because you deserve it, just because sometimes that's what happens, and the only thing to do is stay open enough to receive it, and not bolt from it out of habit, and let it be real. She stayed on the phone with her sister a little longer. The coffee smell drifted into the living room. Outside, the Connecticut spring was doing its tentative best, the oak trees leafing out, the light going golden and long in the late afternoon. She thought, "This is it, this right here." And for the first time in longer than she could accurately remember, she believed it.